Hey YouTube. So there's something that I wanted to talk about that I don't see anybody else really talking about. And that is some of the changes to Steel Song and some of the cards that I think that it brought into play. So I know that the blue steel, red blue, blue everything meta that it sounds like is coming out is where all of the excitement is. And any talk about Steel Song has made it sound like it's going to be significantly worse, and I think that that's probably true. But something that I noticed in this last set, or before this set was released, when they were talking about this card, or when this card was released, I got excited about what that could mean for Steel Song in a vacuum. And the reason that I say that is when I was playing the Diggy deck, or even the full Steel Song deck, it felt like the options for a third one drop card were pretty slim, especially in the Diggy deck. You either had to play Happy or you had to play Simba. And Simba worked really well because it was able to filter through your cards because it has this same ability that Mulan has. But it was a one strength, two willpower card, which didn't feel great. It didn't really have a really good shift target other than the uninkable Simba to ready all of your cards, and even then, it didn't feel great in the deck. Um, so it just felt a little weird. When I saw this card, I was excited for a couple of reasons. The first is the two strength and the one willpower is very exciting, and then with the same stat as Simba. So something that I feel like happens in Steel Song pretty easily is a lot of the songs and some of the better characters like Prince Naveen are all uninkable. So you can brick your hand pretty quickly. And with that, this at least helps you unbrick your hand. I noticed that with Simba, it was at least helpful in that way, even if it didn't feel very impactful in the beginning. But the reason that I was very excited for this card, and the kind of what I was talking about that I don't hear anyone talking about, so I'm starting to feel like maybe I'm dumb. But I wanted to start the conversation is with, let me pull my decks back up. And I am a human. Is this one, the Mulan shift. So this is from set 2. It doesn't seem like it has a lot of play, or it has in the past had a lot of play. And I think the reason for that is there has not been a shift target for this at all in Steel Song until now, until Friday. So there have not been any Mulan one cost cards to be able to shift to for this. And something that I noticed with this, other than I want to caveat that I don't think that in any way this is going to be even remotely as impactful as Cinderella into Storm. I still think that that's the best interaction to the start. But I think with the advent of the bell, the 3/3 bell that can be played on turn 1 for blue, probably more for blue steel than anything else, having a way to get rid of that card is going to be very difficult if you're using Cinderella into Storm, unless you are able to play a second. Basically, you'd have to play Cinderella, Mulan, Cinderella as your first three, and then you could use Strength of a Raging Fire, and you'd be able to do 3 damage to it. But if there was a 2 cost card that you wanted to play, you really wouldn't be able to do that. So this at least gives you the option, and I'm not sure how it'll play out when we actually get to play and we're playing against the meta decks. But you could play Mulan on turn 1, filter through your deck a little bit by drawing and then discarding. And then on turn 2, you'd be able to shift into this Mulan, and you basically have a Singer 4 on turn 2. There's obviously negatives to this because instead of having multiple cards out, you're basically paying 3 ink in the first 2 turns to play a 4 cost card, one single card. So that's, I mean, obviously a negative, and that's why I say that Cinderella is easily first best. I'm sure Daisy Duck is still in front of this, but I still think that this is worth talking about possible interactions because there's 2 things that this can do. One is you'd be able to play any of the same songs that you could play before. So if you didn't pull Cinderella when you're on your mulligan, but you were able to get both Mulans, then that means that you at least could do the same interaction you normally did on turn 1 and 2 by playing a singer and then being able to sing with this Mulan on turn 2. The second cool thing about that is you'd be able to play 4-cost cards. So you'd be able to sing Zeus, which would be able to take out Belle, and then be able to go from there. Something else that I was thinking about. So I think that at the very least could be like a poor man's Cinderella. Something else that I was thinking about though, if you're playing into the red-blue matchup, I've had it happen fairly often where their first 2 turns, they're basically just playing items and drawing cards. So there's really no target for Cinderella, and Cinderella doesn't feel like a great first turn card. Daisy Duck can be pretty good for that reason because you just try and rush under it. But without those options, if you're trying to play like more of a full steel song, maybe without Daisy Duck, something like this could be cool, or at least disorienting. If you play Mulan, shift onto Mulan, and then use this ability, which is whenever this character quests, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a song card, you may play it for free. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So there's a couple things in here. First, if you're playing against red-blue, and they haven't played anything that you'd have as a target for a song, that can feel pretty awkward, but being able to quest for 2 is pretty good. Having cards out there that can quest for 2 does feel like eventually that adds up pretty quickly. And then the other part of this is all of these may, the verbiage for may in here I think is really important, because you may reveal a top card of your deck, so you don't have to. If it's a song card, you may play it for free, so you don't have to, and otherwise you put it on the top of your deck. So that means it's not like you're burying the next card that you would have gotten otherwise. You just have to reveal it. So the downside of that is you're showing your opponent. But there is an interaction with this. You've already inked 2 cards. You've already played a Mulan and a Shift Mulan, so you've played 4 cards, and if you're playing first, you've only drawn 1. So you're down 3 cards at this point. There's a possibility that when this character quests, that you pull a whole new world, and you get to play that for free, and now you've basically reset your hand and your opponent's hand, and I assume that that would be pretty disorienting. And I think for players that have played for a really long time, I've been playing for a short time, so I'm still learning. So anyone that used to play, I think that there are interactions like this where you can do that. Let me know, is that disorienting to the other side to have a whole new world played on turn 2? It feels like it would be for a couple reasons. One is you've kind of set up, or you at least have in your hand, you'd hope, the first 3 turns that you know you're going to have. So that would take that away from your opponent. So if they mulliganed into something, basically they could have drawn up to 14 cards trying to get certain cards that they wanted. Now you're saying that you're only going to have 7 even if you have 8 or 9 cards right now. And they're going to be just the top cards in your deck, and you can't mulligan now. So there's a chance that you kind of brick their hand, or it goes off their strategy at that point. Whereas for you, you have a singer that can sing 4 at this point. It quests for 2, can quest and then sing songs off the top of your deck for free. And now you're going into your 3rd turn, and you more than likely have more options out of those 7 cards than potentially you even had with the 4 cards that you had left, or 3 or 4 cards. So let me know what you think. This seems like something that could be very interesting as far as if you're going to be playing Mulan 1 anyway. Could this card find its way into some sort of use, or will it be too inefficient into the meta decks? Let me know. I really want to hear from the community that's been playing this for a lot longer than me. But I think it's an interesting conversation, so I appreciate any thoughts on it. And thanks for listening. If you like content like this, again, I'm just learning the game. I've only been playing for a couple months, but I've become hyper-focused on it, so I'm trying to find ways to get better and kind of better some of the decks that I've seen out there. So I'm very open to constructive criticism or any feedback that you have that might help us get there. But I do think that there are some things that have benefited Steel Song. Again, the 1-drop Mulan, I think, is one of them. Obviously, not as much as the other decks, so we're probably going to struggle still for this set. but anything that we can do to kind of help us out, I think could be nice. I mean, this even brings into play on turn 2. You might be able to play. I don't know that this is efficient at all, but you'd be able to play like Find 'em, Flatten 'em. And if you're playing against a deck that's just playing a bunch of items to start the game, you'd be able to wipe those on turn 2 too. So anyway, if you like content like that, or if you want to be able to be a part of that conversation as I post, please like and subscribe. And I appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.